Hello, everybody. Excited utterance here. My name's Hella, and today we are back on the Shanna Gardner case. Poor old Shanna. I shouldn't say old. She's probably, I don't know, my age. And she is accused of hiring somebody to bang bang shoot up her ex-husband. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, that's why. To get custody of her two little kids. And she is innocent till proven guilty, people. She is the heiress to the Stampin' Up. Stampin' Up, I think it is. What do you call it? They've got a lot of money, her parents. I'll tell you all about it in a second. But even more excitingly than that, she has super duper lawyer Jose Baez representing her in Florida. Oh my goodness. And he is giving the state what for today, out on the pavement, getting out there and telling them, you know what? You can't get up to filthy shenanigans when you're talking about my client, because I am not scared of anybody. I am Jose Baez. All right, we have a new member. Oh, you renewed your membership. Of course you did, Dina. I love you so much. My darling Dina. And I love your profile pic. Welcome back. Thank you for being a member. John, hi. Welcome in, everyone. Please leave a like, subscribe, and enjoy the stream. You are so sweet, John. Hello, Half Irish. Good to see you. And Ron, good to see you too here. Hello, howdy. And Ronnie, good to see you too. And my beautiful Laura down in Tassie. We love you even though you're in Tassie. We were talking about the Tasmanian devil, the real Tasmanian devil, the other day. Uncle Chop Chop. Do you want to play? I don't think I want to play. That's too bad. Yeah, Dali came. Of course, Dali's about to come because we have his favorite lawyer ever. Hello. How's it going?
Good. Hands on screen. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's all on today. We have Jose Baez in fine form today. Okay, so let's get into it. I know there's also something exciting happening with the Alec Baldwin case at the moment, yes, but that should be over pretty soon. So hand check. Yeah, hand check. Very much so. But never mind. We're getting into it. We'll lead in slowly. We'll ease in. We'll edge into
just
this.
a tip.
We're just going to start with the tip. All right. So for those who don't recall, we're just going to give a little brief overview of what this is about. So Shanna Gardner, already, here we go. Shanna Gardner, she is the heiress to the Stampin' Up empire owned by Sterling and Shelli Gardner. And she was married to this dude over on the right. She can't be married to him anymore because, you know, he's no longer here. That's Gardner and Bridegan. And they had two lovely kitties. I think they are fraternal twins from memory. Anyway, there they are in happier times. And they're Mormons, but I don't think that's got anything to do with it.
Crazy Mormons.
Yeah. They were married in 2010 and Shanna filed for divorce in 2015. Yeah, they shared custody of the twins. So after they were divorced, they shared the custody, but it wasn't a pleasant custody arrangement. Now, then she married second husband, Mario Fernandez Saldana. Pretty cool name. Mario Fernandez Saldana. And in 2018, and they ran a baking company called Beach Baked 904.
904?
904. I don't
really?
know why 904. Why would you just not call it Beach Baked?
You're making a company, not a username, sweetie.
I know, right? It's odd, isn't it? Anyway, and then Jared, he went and married someone who looked exactly like her. It's a bit strange.
Wait, is this Hella?
I thought she looked exactly like Shanna with the dark hair.
No, I think she looks like you.
You think she looks like me?
Yeah,
Okay.
without glasses.
Yeah. Or at least use 90210. Yeah, I know, but it's in Florida. Maybe, I don't know. I don't get the number. But she's pretty, this chick. Mormons sure prefer murder over divorce. They do, don't they?
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah. So in 2017, all of our streams, they really give Mormons a bad name. Hey,
They really do. Sorry, Mormons.
they must hate us.
I have nothing against you guys. It's just,
Nah. Oh, Helen is more prettier. Oh.
oh,
Oh, actually, you know what I forgot to do today? I forgot to light up my backdrop.
oh.
Oh.
How do you get out of there, by the way?
How do I what? How do
you
I get
out of
out?
there? Yeah.
That way.
Oh, okay.
That way, yeah.
Okay, I thought you're all like boxed in.
I know it looks complicated, but it's not really.
Oh.
The mysteries of television. So in 2017, Gardner Bridegan remarried to Kirsten, and they had 2 children together, Bexley and London. Interesting names. Anyway, right. So there is. Oh, she's got a sleeve.
Oh boy, she testifying at the Karen Reed trial.
From 2017 till 2022, the 2 families shared custody of the twins, but it was a tumultuous relationship.
That's not very Mormon friendly.
Look, I don't know if she was a practicing Mormon after all this. I think like she left, she went to live in Florida, and her parents are back in Utah.
Okay, so she drinks Diet Coke then.
Maybe. And maybe she's like uses the original hole.
There's a Mormons can't drink Diet Coke. It's a thing.
I'm allowed to say it, Mum's family. Oh, sorry, what did you say? Mormons, sure. Oh, you're allowed to say the murder over divorce thing. Yeah, right. Okay. Now, yeah. So the 2 families shared custody, and yeah, it wasn't much fun, the whole sharing custody thing, let's just say. And there's plenty of evidence of that. Now, what happened next? Yeah, the tire. Big tire on the road. So one day, on the evening of February 16, 2022, Gardner Bridegan had just dropped off his 9-year-old twin son and daughter to his ex-wife's home. So that is Shanna. Dropped them off in Jacksonville Beach and was headed back to St. Augustine where he lived. And he had his 2-year-old daughter. So that's the 2-year-old with Kirsten. And she was in the car. He stopped because of a tire on the road near the exit of the Sanctuary neighborhood. So there was a tire in the middle of the road. Tire in the middle of the road. Picturing this, kid in car gets out to move the tire. Thinking about this situation, right? Police believe from the onset that this was a planned murder. Jared was shot multiple times as he apparently attempted to move the tire. He gets out to move the tire. Bang, 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 bang. All right. Now, his 2-year-old daughter, this is sad, this part. His 2-year-old daughter was left in the car for reportedly up to 25 minutes after her dad was shot on the ground until someone came to help. So, yeah, that's pretty nasty. And apparently some of the gunshots actually hit the car, so she could have been injured. But apparently she wasn't. But imagine the trauma of all that. Yeah, that's all pretty bad.
She won't remember.
Yeah, you wouldn't think she'd remember that.
I'd hope.
You'd hope not. But yeah, it took quite a while. And she was just left there on her own for ages and ages. Okay, so it took a few years for it to come around that her, as in, I'll come back to the photos. Her, Shanna, and her husband, what's his name again? Yeah,
Bryce.
Mario. So these 2 were actually charged with murder because someone else his name is Henry Tenon, the guy who actually did the shooting, he was charged with the murder. Like, he was charged with the murder, and he pled guilty. He took a plea bargain in order to testify against these two for hiring him as a hitman. Right? Now, we don't know whether or not he actually was hired as a hitman. Maybe the police talked him into saying that so that he would get a better deal. I don't know what deal he actually got, by the way, but maybe he hasn't really even got the deal yet until he actually comes through with his testimony. Who knows? But he's going to testify at both of their trials. Now, their trials were going to be together, but they've been bifurcated. She's got much better representation than he does. She's got a lot more money. She has Jose Baez. Now, she says she's not guilty, nothing to do with it, never knew anything about it. Henry Tenon, the guy who did the shooting up, they also owned some sort of hospitality, like a unit complex or something like that. He was a tenant of theirs. She never really met him. Apparently, all she ever saw of this guy that did the shooting was like from a car, waved at him or something. But her husband apparently had some contact with him as like landlord. So I think she's going to throw him under the bus. Yeah. All right. So moving on. There was a bond hearing just recently because she's in custody, obviously, and it's a death penalty case. It's huge. It's a death penalty case. And apparently one of her kids, as in the twins, the girl has a terminal illness. Very sad. She's in custody. She's saying she's not guilty. Her lawyer, Jose, wants her out to spend time with her child. Right? So she had a bond hearing. Everyone on the planet is saying it's a murder charge. It's death penalty. Why on earth would she get bond? And Jose is saying she should have every right to have bond. She's not guilty. And there was this bond hearing, and some text messages were brought in 6 years prior to the incident. These text messages were objected to. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that before we look at what happened the other day with Jose Baez out on the pavement, calling out the state for bringing in these text messages. I'll show you. All right. Oh, hello, Bobby. How are you? Okay. First, we'll look at this. And I did think it was a bit weird.
I would happily watch him give him the lethal objection. They're talking about they would love to see him get the death penalty, and they could make a casserole. And moving on, again, state's composite exhibit 8.
Hang on. Sorry.
More text messages. And in these ones, there's a discussion. Can you describe to the court where this discussion develops?
These are essentially theories of what they could do to.
So that's the lead detective. On the stand.
If you're stupid.
Okay, so stupid, and we'll see that in other text messages. That was a nickname that Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen used to refer to Jared Bridegan.
Correct.
Okay. So what direction does this conversation take?
It's essentially just more about ways that Ms. Gardner is unhappy with Mr. Bridegan, that she would like for him no longer to be alive, and then they talk about casserole, and then they move on to other things as far as how it causes death.
These are difficult to read. This is State's Exhibit Composite 9. These are texts in 2016, and the next slide will be zoomed in a little bit. But here we see Ms. Gardner. This is the first time she brings up the word hitman in her discussions with Ms. Jensen. Can you describe for the court what this conversation centers around and how it develops?
Essentially, Ms. Gardner is upset She says it's too late to be a hitman. I'm serious. I think Ms. Jensen is trying to kind of talk her down a little bit. And then they move on to basically where they start talking about, does she know anyone that could actually carry out this plan?
And we see that down here in the bottom. You can draw on the screen too if there's anything you want to circle. That Ms. Jensen says, I know Sue's husband knows people. Ms. Gardner replies, I'm not even joking, I want him gone. And the conversation goes on.
Okay, so you know, this Miss Jensen that they're referring to,
Julie?
her name is Kim Jensen, and
Any
later
relation?
when we hear from Jose Baez when he does his press conference, she's KJ. So KJ actually saw this bond hearing and contacted a lawyer, and her lawyer got in contact with Jose Baez, and the lawyer, via the lawyer, KJ or Kim Jensen said that all these text messages were all in jest. None of it was real. This is all 6 years prior to the incident. This is all nothing. This shouldn't have been admitted. She didn't know that any of this stuff was going to be entered into evidence. No one said anything to her. This is just, basically it's fabrication, right? So for her private text messages, which, I mean, they can get private text messages, obviously, but for her words to be used like this, it's completely out of context. So I'll just continue because there is an objection.
There. At the time they're having this conversation, and here's a zoomed in version of it, simultaneous with this conversation, did you also find text messages between Ms. Jensen and the person that they were discussing finding them a hitman in the previous slide?
Correct. So while this conversation was going on, Kim Jensen reaches out to the person that they're referring to and asks if she knows anyone that can do magic, i.e. make someone disappear. Referring to, do they know anyone?
And I'll one quick second. These text messages between Ms. Jensen and the third party are referenced in both the exhibit we just looked at and text messages that you found later, correct?
That's correct.
And in your conversations with Ms. Jensen, she disclosed to you that she reached out to this person because of her conversations with Ms. Gardner.
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to move into evidence which has been marked as State's K as State's Exhibit 10. I'm sorry, as
Grounds?
State's J as State's Exhibit 18.
Your Honor, single objection. I don't see anything in here where Ms. Gardner is asking Ms. Jensen to reach out to Sue. I don't know how that can be, what Ms. Jensen did can be used against Ms. Gardner.
Okay, and Sue is the other one. So in the press conference that we're about to see, there's someone else called SS. Just letting you know
At
that.
this point, again, we're talking about things that are 6 years prior to the killing of Jared Bridegan. I don't believe there's any allegation from the state whatsoever that this led to anything, or that even in the state's theory, to the death of Mr. Bridegan. It's totally irrelevant. It is so stale, and this court should not even consider it for purposes of this bond hearing. It's not relevant.
Your Honor, that
Even as a co-conspirator statement?
Are they saying that the conspiracy went back to 2016? Is that the state's argument?
Yeah.
It's definitely.
Your Honor, the date range encompasses these text messages in the charged indictment. There are further statements leading up to the death of Jared Bridegan between these individuals. They are relevant because they show Ms. Gardner's state of mind, intent, incitement, encouragement as it relates to being a principal of first-degree murder. This is a bond hearing. The rules of evidence are loosened. There's
Rules
no
of
jury
evidence
before
are
the court.
loosened.
The court can give whatever weight to these text messages it deems fit based on the argument of Mr. Carodi, but his argument goes to the weight, not the admissibility.
Okay, so I have a question, really, and that is that if this is all they've got at this point to keep her in custody, and it's a death penalty case, what have they got for the actual trial?
Mhm.
What's going on? Why are they looking at text messages with people who aren't even involved in the incident from 6 years prior?
Yeah.
And the people who are involved are adamant that it has nothing to do with it and all of it's in jest, and so much so that they get lawyers, and those lawyers then go and contact the defense in her defense
Yeah.
and speak up in her defense. What is going on? Right? This is nuts. This does not look good for the state at all. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the main show, everybody. So his cross-examination was great, by the way, and we watched that in a previous stream, and we will link to that in the description, the comments later. But for now, over to Mr. Baez himself. And by the way, what a dude doing this, right? What an
Yeah.
absolute dude doing this. This is what you pay the money for. Someone who will stand up for you like this outside the courthouse. And P.S., the DA is standing there as well watching this. So is so is the assistant DA, and I believe that detective, as in that lead detective, is there too. We'll see, because he addresses them at one point. Let's watch.
First off, my name is Jose Baez. I'm the lead defense attorney for Shanna Gardner in the state of Florida versus Shanna Gardner. So, first off, the reason I've asked you to come out here today is because a matter of great importance and public interest has arisen, and I think it's important for everyone to have a certain amount of transparency as to what's actually going on in this case. I will start by saying this is not something I do often. In fact, it's the first time I've outwardly spoken in this case, other than a few brief comments for which I was approached walking to my car previously. Other than that, I really make very few public statements about the case because I believe much of which should be done in the courtroom, except and unless there are matters of great public interest and importance. Having said that, I'll start off by telling you that my office has filed, or will be filing shortly today, a motion in this case advising the court of certain violations of Brady material, which is favorable evidence that was in the possession of the state and not turned over to the defense. Much of what the motion entails surrounds incidents and testimony that was elicited during the Arthur hearing, which is a bond hearing on May 15th of this year.
I didn't know it was called an
Now,
Arthur hearing.
Having said that, that is an opportunity for those of you who know or don't know, is an opportunity for the state to put on a certain amount of evidence to be able to show that the accused should be held without bond pending the outcome of the case. Now, during the course of that hearing, we learned of a meeting that took place between the two prosecutors involved in this case. One of them I see here today. I presume he's going to open himself up for questions after. And I would invite that, of course, to
You're
hopefully
going to be
respond to
questioned
some of the
after.
issues that occurred in this matter. First off, it's dealing with the testimony of Detective Johns, who during the course of that testimony elicited or spoke of certain text messages between a individual whose initials are KJ and another person's whose initials are SL. This name had never been made known to us previously up until the night before the hearing. We objected to these text messages from coming in, and that was overruled. So they did come in a matter of course. We don't take issue with that. Detective Johns testified that he never spoke, that he believed one of his other officers spoke with this witness, and that he did not. When pressed, he later stated that the witness had changed her phone number and they had a hard time getting a hold of her. The SL was actually watching the hearing at that time and was outraged by the lies told by Detective Johns in this matter. And I'll remind everyone, this is a death penalty case where the state is attempting to utilize the color of law to kill another human being. So, as part of this is testimony. Number one, it turns out that Miss SL did not change her phone number. She has the same phone number and has had the same phone number since 2014. So that was an outright lie. In addition to that, no other detective spoke with Miss SL. It was Detective Johns who in fact spoke with Miss SL. That was his second lie. And that was upon being pressed. Now, these are clear, unambiguous, straight up lies made by the lead detective involving a critical witness who was allegedly being solicited for to hire a hitman for murder. As it turns out, the actual truth was that this was a running joke between the two witnesses that I previously mentioned, who apparently witness SL's husband is an African American, and there was a member who she worked with who had specifically approached her and made an offensive comment asking whether he knew any individuals who were involved with crime. So naturally, amongst friends, they continued to chide her, and that's specifically what was done within those text messages. They were text messages made in jest, and as you also heard during the course of that hearing, there was this meeting between the two lead prosecutors as well as the two lead detectives with KJ. KJ also got to view this hearing, and as it turns out, was equally enraged by some of the lies told by Detective Johns and some of the key facts omitted by the prosecution, such as the statements and many of the text messages that were displayed in an attempt to keep Shanna Gardner in custody. They were told specifically by KJ that many of them were made in jest and they were not taken seriously by anyone. And in fact, many of the individuals who were surrounding this case knew that. This critical information, which is exculpatory information, was never disclosed to the defense. And it wasn't until after the Arthur hearing that we were able to uncover that these statements, for which are non-recorded and no police report was done. I think that's worth mentioning here because I don't stand here and take this situation lightly.
Clearly.
I realize that I'm being highly critical of both prosecution and law enforcement in this case, but it does not come easy for me. But
no, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Wait. I think you're loving it.
No, this is like Christmas and your birthday put together.
Yeah, it doesn't come easy for me.
No, you are loving this. This is a gem.
Yeah. It's like, hang on a minute. When I got the phone call from KJ's lawyer, I was pretty pleased, actually.
Sir, I'm pretty sure you're
rubbing my
hard right.
hands together.
I'm pretty sure you're hard right now doing this
Yeah.
press conference. Let's be honest, sir. I love you,
Just-
but let's not act like you wanting to call out the prosecutor and lead detective. This major year.
This is awesome.
I love the humility. I'm just saying.
Look, the Wicked Wookie, no, like he's asserting his dominance. Like he's doing it because here's the thing, right? There are two key witnesses here who shouldn't even be key witnesses. They're nobodies in this case. They're nobodies, and they're from 6 years prior.
Yeah.
They're not involved at all. Yet the states decided to involve them.
I get your point, Wookie. Something like this could be an issue, but I trust Baez. He is very good at what he does.
Yeah, and I say good on him, because how many attorneys have the balls to stand up and do a press conference and call out the state for bringing in evidence that has not been recorded? So there's been apparently these interviews that were never recorded, and these witnesses are calling out lies that were said on the stand by this lead detective about phone numbers that were supposedly changed and were never changed. And this is a death penalty case. These exhibits, they were objected to, they were brought in anyway, and if the exhibits have been falsified, then that's a big deal. And so he's standing up there and telling everybody that that's what's happened. And I mean, how many attorneys would you say would have the balls to do that? Not very many.
It's a risky move, but yeah.
It is a risky move, but it's super ballsy. Yeah. It's super duper ballsy. And he's had time to think about this. This isn't overnight. So the bond hearing was about 3.5 weeks ago, and we're just about this week. There's supposed to be an evidentiary hearing, so it's tomorrow or the next day. So he's preparing to go into another hearing. He's doing this just in time to make sure it's very clear to everybody that he knows about all this stuff. Maybe Brian Steele, he has Steele once. True. He is absolutely spreading his scent. Yeah, he is. He's like, Baez is here. All right, let's keep going.
As we all expect our elected officials and our public servants to act. And in this situation, that critical information was not disclosed. And as you saw during the hearing, I was highly critical of the fact that they did not record this meeting, and that they did not write a police report stating as such. So, my position is simple. Even held in the best of lights, with the best intentions, completely honest intentions, if you have 4 highly trained individuals getting a statement from the most critical witness in the case, you record it. Otherwise, you're incredibly incompetent, and perhaps they should be fired for that reason. I would want police officers investigating a crime that I believe is incredibly important, especially one to me, to do their job appropriately and competently. And clearly that's not done, and nothing's being said or done about it. And that's a big problem. You can't expect to hold our public officials accountable if you don't hold them accountable. So in this case, let me finish. There's more information I have to disclose.
Let me keep going.
You have the situation where this secret meeting is taking place with no recordings and no police reports written on the meeting and no disclosure to the defense when we are trying to seek a release from pretrial custody, which are founded on constitutional principles, such as the presumption of innocence, such as having your day in court, such as holding the government to its full burden. All of these are ignored and being circumvented. Just because it's popular doesn't make it right. And furthermore, what did we learn from this overall hearing? Well, there's some ugly text messages.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't think anyone learned any more information about Shanna Gardner's involvement, alleged involvement, or non-involvement in this case, other than there were some bad text messages who we now find out were as a result of many of them in jest, taken out of context. And if that's all you have, so what do you do next? You manufacture a case. And I'm not saying that we're at that point yet, but I see very, very potentially harmful things along the horizon, such as having meetings and not recording them, having meetings and not doing police reports, and not disclosing favorable evidence to the defense. As early as yesterday, the prosecutors turned over more additional statements that were allegedly made by KJ at this secret meeting, many of which KJ even denies that were ever said. And KJ also says were taken completely out of context and spun in a direction that was wholly inappropriate. When
Now,
prosecutors don't have a case, these are the things that are done.
this is exactly what I was referring to a minute ago. If at the bond hearing, all they've got is some text messages with some people who aren't even implicated in the actual crime from 6 years ago, what is their case? Like, what's their case? If that's all they've got to keep her in jail right now, what's going on? This is messy. Like, it's looking really thin right now.
Yeah.
It's looking really thin right now. Like, this, surely they've got more than this. Surely they've got more than this.
And I will tell you what happens next. When you don't have evidence and you have a case like this, the next inclination is to go out and get yourself a jailhouse snitch.
Oh.
So I presume that's being done right now. There's a little shopping that might be going on or might not be. But as a result, what we have done is we are sending a letter to the elected state attorney in this case, Melissa Nelson, and we're going to be, and as well as law enforcement in this case, advising them that Shanna Gardner is represented and they are not to send in any agents of the state to try and go in who are actually trying to make a deal for themselves and trying to better their current situation while in jail to be able to
be warned,
and
snitchies.
harm Shanna Gardner in a death penalty case. That's a textbook move, and we are calling them out. And I'm telling you right now, if that happens in the future, you will be able to go back at this moment and you'll be able to know and see that I was absolutely 100% correct.
Oh, what
So
a man.
watch out for that. That's coming next. And you cannot have, under any circumstances, a police officer lying in a court of law, lying to a judge who has to make the critical decision to hold someone while in custody. Everybody forgets Shanna Gardner has a child who is terminally ill. You have this child who may not live, being completely torn away from his mother while she waits. Could be a year, could be 2 years, could be even longer for trial, and for which you're seeking the death penalty. The stakes couldn't be higher. And in fact, the actual conduct couldn't be more egregious. This is not something this community should stand for. When they elected Melissa Nelson, they should have expected her to hold her standards, her prosecutors to a heightened standard for which they can fully work within the public trust. And that doesn't mean violating agreements while maintaining attorney-client privilege materials. for which this court has even acknowledged was poor judgment. And now we have this, withholding favorable evidence from the defense prior to a critical hearing, and then later on, afterwards, doing it again even more. As recently as yesterday, we got more statements that allegedly occurred during the secret meeting that was non-recorded. So, folks, I employ all of you who are here to, we're trying to do our job. We want you to ask the tough questions. Don't take the guided tour. This case is not as simple and as open and shut as it has been laid out to be. You have only heard one side of this case, and what's coming out of it reeks. And I think all of you, I think it's your journalistic responsibility to seek out and ask them, why are you putting on a police officer who's lying on the stand?
Yeah.
Why are you allowing that
do
to happen? Why aren't you recording meetings with very important critical witnesses? Why are you not getting these statements completely locked down? And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, there's a very good reason. And the reason is an obvious one. So I would ask that all of you, and even those who are listening, to seek out and ask these questions and hold them to their level of professionalism. And I can tell you this, it gives me no pleasure to stand here and do this.
No.
None whatsoever.
No.
I hate it.
No.
You hate
No,
it.
you love it.
Every part of my being. But I will do
He
it.
hates
I will
it, Dolly.
fulfill my oath as an officer of the court and as the lawyer who's been entrusted with Shanna Gardner's life. They're not going to get away with lying in the courtroom. We're not going to stop until we seek justice in this case. They're not going to get away by creating evidence. And we're not going to allow that to happen in this case. I certainly hope that if there's any ambiguities, that they clear them up immediately, that they explain why they didn't record that meeting, why they didn't file a police report on that meeting.
Yeah, they're not going to explain why.
Detective Johns is lying about speaking to a person when in fact he actually did, lying as to why she changed her number when in fact she still to this day has not changed her number.
Yeah, no.
There's no
reason. I get her number?
Any of these things could have had to have occurred in this case. If they really have a case, if their case is as open and shut as they say it is, to the point where they're confident enough to seek the ultimate penalty of death, then none of this should be going on. None of this. And the fact that they expect us to stand by and let it occur just isn't going to happen. Just is not going to happen. And I ask that all of you ask the tough questions. And by all means, if you want to ask me questions, I noticed Mr. Withdraw, he left. He doesn't want to answer to his actions. So it is what it is. Perhaps he had another matter, and you're, in fact, he does. So I take that back. The reality is you need to ask him, Ms. Stifler, or Melissa Nelson, these tough questions.
See what just happened?
And I think they owe the public answers, especially if they're putting on such type of evidence.
He
hoping to get some clarity.
He asked the DA and said, "Oh, he's left." Oh no, sorry, he had other matters. I take that back.
That this witness, how did you learn the
Yes,
Sure. Well, it's all laid out in our motion, so you'll be able to see it. But I will tell you this. First off, we learned about it because they were watching the hearing. And that specific witness, the first thing she did is she hired a lawyer. And that lawyer then contacted us. We were since able to obtain a sworn affidavit. And in fact, we even have the phone records from when Detective Johns actually called her. So there's no getting out of this one. And in addition to that, both witnesses submitted affidavits clarifying their position and basically saying that these statements were completely taken out of context and that are completely and utterly false.
He's one hot Latino.
Oh yeah.
We're requesting.
he's sweating.
The court has numerous and broad
I'm not
discretion in a situation like this.
We know
She
you have
can
pictures of him.
dismiss the case.
On
She can dismiss the state attorney's office and disqualify them.
Junior?
As we know, this is not their first brush with incidents in this case, and she can also give us reconsideration for the bond hearing for which we're asking. We're asking for Shanna Gardner to be released, and that of course is one of the remedies that we're seeking.
And
as
the
well.
individuals that have come forward that would allow you to file this motion, they would speak publicly if necessary?
If subpoenaed to testify, they would testify to the truth of what they're saying, yes.
There have been hearings in this case to talk about discovery and things like that moving forward after the issues that we had with discovery previously. Why not bring this up at the next hearing? Why take this, I guess, drastic of a step rather than bringing it up before a judge at one of the next hearings?
It's not a drastic step, it's drastic conduct. Okay, so you have to respond in kind. And number one, this was the first, as soon as we found out about this information, we immediately got affidavits to ensure that this testimony is sworn. And in addition to that, what we did next is we filed a motion. So there haven't been any court appearances since we've discovered all of this information. But I can assure you, they're all significant discovery violations. They've disclosed some of the statements made in that meeting almost a year ago, okay? But they completely withheld the rest. And they absolutely withheld all exculpatory statements. How do you do that? Would any one of you want your family member or your fellow citizens to go through a system of justice like this? I would answer for you, and absolutely not. And I tell you, I believe, you know, these things require them to answer to, and the only way we're going to do it is by exposing it and having full transparency.
Do you want to see Detective John barred from testifying in future hearings or at the trial?
There are a number of remedies that the court can fashion. That is one of them, as well as a potential jury instruction. And I don't know why you guys put me out here to fry like this in the hot sun. We asked you for
all this.
Yes, but not in the we were told you wouldn't do it under a tree. But regardless, here I am sweating like crazy.
Who put you there?
What's that?
I told you he was a hot Latina.
Okay.
Latino. That was awkward.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Didn't mean to misgender him.
Are you basically saying that Jacksonville Beach Police Department kind of botched this investigation?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they lied under oath in a court of law.
At the beginning.
I think.
Hang on, I'll talk about it in a sec.
That's a fair interpretation of what the witnesses are saying, and you can't hide it. There's no disputing the witness's phone number is the same. There's no disputing the phone records. There's no disputing any of that. I think there's complete, there's an accurate and complete account of what actually occurred, and it's not as what was testified to.
And with this, you're going to, I'm assuming you would want this case to be moved out of this district.
Shanna wants to clear her name. She's innocent. And, you know, one face is enough when the state of Florida decides to charge you with a crime and then charge you with the death penalty and to seek the death penalty. So I don't know how one deals with that other than fights it, you know, and I think this case is equally important to everyone, because if this is the type of conduct and these are the type of things that are done in this case, when everyone is watching, you can only imagine what's being done when no one is watching. And I think these cases are incredibly important for that. And trust me, I have extensive experience in cases that are high profile where people are watching.
Damn it.
And if you're sloppy and you do this in a high profile case, you absolutely do it when no one's watching. And that's a scary thought here. It's a scary thought when a arm of the government has the ability to sanction the killing of another human being, and to do it in a way where evidence is not what it's supposed to be.
So you're going to file this motion, leave it in Judge Kite's hands about what to do next.
Correct. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so no one from the state actually spoke. That's a bit of a shame. Because he was like,
Damn it.
I would like the DA to speak, is what he said earlier. Anyway, yeah, no,
God
no.
damn it.
Baez badassery at his best, wasn't it? Wasn't it? What's the matter, darling?
I was typing in StreamYard earlier on Sean's stream as me, and I forgot that if I type in here, it comes out as you.
Yeah, I've just stopped typing in anyone's stream because I've got too many. I'm admin on too many of them now.
I know. It's like, I'm like,
I'm admin on Sean's stream and
I know.
Bronca's and yours and a few people's.
I
So
know,
it's
I'm just gonna open a YouTube,
always
and
have a
yeah,
different one open.
just no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, Murph just in he was mainly talking about, yes, the process going wrong, as you were saying. I'll just bring yours up. What's it say? Your message earlier. He seems to be attacking the procedures or lack thereof more than the facts, right? Yeah, so there was a lot of talk about the procedures not being adhered to. Yes. However, earlier, what he was talking about was that KJ and SS, they were both outraged by the way that the evidence was put forth as being inculpatory. So they were being put forth as Shanna actually seriously speaking to them about hiring somebody to murder the husband or the ex-husband, whereas that's not the case. That what they're saying is, no, it was a running joke between them and a couple of other people, and it'd been going on for quite a while, and that was a lie for them to be putting forth that information in that way. So, and it was years prior. They have nothing to do with any of it, and they've had that conversation with these detectives. So for them to be putting it out there in that light is completely false. So yes, there was those facts that were discussed earlier. And in terms of something else in regard to the facts of the case that Baez was speaking about is that what has the state got if these are the facts that they're putting forth to keep her in jail now, right? So that is something that's 6 years prior and is really quite irrelevant, really, compared to facts that are closer to the date and actually involves witnesses that are closer to the crime itself. So to do with Henry Tenon, for example, to do with the husband, the actual husband, as in Mario. Why would they not have evidence that is closer to the crime rather than these things from 6 years ago? Is that all they have? So yeah, the facts of the case are in question when they're reaching really with this stuff that's from 6 years ago, and those witnesses are saying that they're completely out of context, and the state didn't even record anything or they have nothing to show from those meetings to say otherwise. All they've got is these text messages which are completely out of context. So, and those witnesses aren't there. So it's not like they've brought the witnesses in to testify or anything. They just got text messages. That's it. So all we've got is the lead detective bringing the text messages in and reading them out, not the witnesses there. So it's a little bit it's a little bit tenuous. What's this? The old joke defense. Damn, this is going to be a tough case if that's their only fact in defense. Do we know if the hitman is going to testify against that? Oh, I'm sure he's going to. It's part of the plea agreement. Wondering if this is going to be another Charlie Adelson type case. Everyone's saying so. Everyone's saying so. And I'm sure that she is going to be throwing Mario under the bus from what I can tell,
Princess Peach,
who's that?
Mario. Get
Um,
it? Get it?
yeah. From what I can tell, it seems that she, as the facts stand right now, she had no contact with Mario whatsoever, other than just waving to him from a car. Whereas he, as in Mario, he had some contact with him, like as a tenant of their establishment. So Mario has far more contacts. Therefore, there would be some trail of him knowing Henry Tenon. Yeah. So who knows?
So
who knows? But
she was just waving to him. That's it.
Apparently, this is what the defense is that I know of so far, as far as her having contact with the actual hitman. Doesn't mean that she didn't do it. She could have. She might have. But in order for her to be convicted of this, I feel that there needs to be some way of locking her down to saying something to Mario or directly to Henry Tenon to organize the hit or pay for the hit, and for her to have actually had contact with this Henry Tenon person. And if there's neither of those things, then she could walk. She hired gumbacks to whack Mario. Yeah. It's super interesting. It does remind you of the Markel case. There's been a few of these in Florida. Hey.
It's Florida.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, why do people hire hitmen in Florida?
Why do people move to Florida?
Why do people move to Florida? Because they
it's
want
better
to
than
escape.
California.
They want to escape their family or something. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to move to Florida.
Ah, is that it?
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad. Remember in this on The Simpsons, in Seinfeld, when George's parents were going to move to Florida, and Jerry Seinfeld's parents were already moved to Florida, and they're like, "We're going to move to the same building." It's like, "No, we're not moving if your parents are moving." and George's parents George is like, "You've had 5 good years already. Let me have a life." Oh dear. I love that show so much. Alrighty. Well, you know what? Let's go over to Sean, because why not? We love going over to Sean. Is that still going? That hearing cannot still be going. Is it? It's still going. It can't still be going. What time is it in New Mexico? Hang on, I can't hear you now. You're muted.
Why did you mute me?
I didn't mute you.
I know. I muted myself.
Yes, you did, you boomer.
I'm a very good co-host. No, it was supposed to end an hour ago.
It was supposed to end an hour ago. Holy moly mackerel.
Oh my God, that judge is getting a DUI tonight. I swear to God, she is so fed up with this.
Yeah.
She is so fed up. Like, the hearing was, you guys really should check out Sean.
What are they going? We're going there now.
Okay. And just watch the whole thing. It's so funny. And the judge at the end of it is she is so children, shut up, or I'm turning this trial around.
Shut up when I turn the trial around. All right. We're going there now. Don't go there on your own. Go with us.
Yes.
All right. Yep. Okay. Saving. Let's go. All right. Everyone say hello, Ray, when we get there. Poor girl has much. She does not. Of course she does.
Oh, I hope not, because her father's a pastor.
No, if she's made her millions just doing that. Are you serious? Is that what it takes? Is that what it takes?
Okay, she has to do an OnlyFans now.
Holy moly. Okay, that's it. That was fun. I think there's a hearing later in the week. We'll see if we cover it. Maybe if Karen Reed has gone to bed, then we might, because there's really no point in competing with Karen Reed. Yeah.
Also Wednesday, I am covering
Wednesday.
a very special stream. I've put a lot of effort into it and kind of been putting it off. It's about a prosecutor of January 6 people, including the famous lectern guy who relocated a podium 20 feet into the Capitol. This prosecutor was late for court, as one does. And you're late for court. The judge is going to be mad at you. What do? Somebody pulls in front of you. They're having a medical emergency. Yeah, they crash. And Patrick Scruggs, Patty Cakes, decides to get out of the car and, being a respectful member of the bar, decides to break the window, not to assist the person having a medical emergency, but to stab him several times.
Link.
I will go ahead and post that right now.
Please.
So yeah, Patty Cakes goes and stabs this poor gentleman who's having a medical emergency, and threatens a Syrian immigrant who tries to assist the motorist who's having a medical emergency. And we will be doing the background of the case and start the depositions. And I'm posting the link now.
Yay.
If I can get back to it.
Do you have a preview trailer for us?
No. Well, sounds like something David would do.
It does sound like something David would do.
I don't have the trailer finished just yet. But tomorrow I should have it.
All
But
right.
it's going to be
cool. We're going to definitely do that. I'll be there helping
Yes.
Sally read the deposition. It's going to be super duper fun. Cool. All right, let's go. Say hello, Ray. Yay. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. And everyone on rewatch, which I'm sure will be people.
Yes, StreamYard tells
See you
us to
guys
say
too. StreamYard does tell us to say that.
that. And I don't.
Love you
I'm a
all.
rebel.
And free Zachariah Anderson.
And reach